Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Every day there are countless books and articles that are published offering the key on how to make your business a success. It's easy to feel overwhelmed trying to keep up and run your business. That's why Deb Creer created the Business Power Hour. Keep up on the latest trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. Let the Business Power Hour do the heavy work for you.
Good morning, good morning. I am Deb Creer, and I am passionate about giving professionals the tools that they need to make themselves and their businesses as successful as possible. And today we're going to have so much fun because we're going to be talking about something that, I tell you what, most businesses, they're not already thinking about it, they need to be thinking about it. And that's e-commerce. And before you all freak out and think, oh, we can't do that. Oh, that's expensive. Oh, that's difficult. It's really not. And there's a variety of ways to do it. And so we're going to have such fun talking with Mike Begg today. And so please join me in welcoming Mike to our program. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you for having me here, Deb. I'm really excited to speak with your audience about Amazon and e-commerce in general.
Perfect. Oh yeah, it's funny. There's like Amazon and everybody else. And we could probably put Walmart in there as a separate category and a couple more, but it's Amazon and pretty much everybody else. But yeah, it's so interesting. And I actually remember before Amazon existed. But yeah, it really is very interesting. So let me tell people just a little bit about you and then we'll jump into this.
Okay.
So Mike Begg is an entrepreneur and expert in e-commerce, digital marketing, and operational nearshoring. Mike founded AMZ Advisors with his two partners in 2015 and has grown the business to managing over $10 million per year in ad spend and $100 million per year in Amazon sales. Mike and the AMZ team also operate AMZ courses, educating Amazon sellers on how to maximize sales on the platform. Excuse me. Mike loves sharing advice and help on anything related to Amazon and building efficient businesses. So again, Mike, welcome.
Thank you again. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good roundup of everything that I've done and everything that I enjoy doing. So
Cool.
Hopefully I have a lot of good insights for your audience.
Yeah. Well, and I'll be honest, you're kind of a youngster. It's always fun. People who scoff at millennials, I'm like, oh, no, you don't know the millennials that I know. Because, anybody in that age range, whether, it's a little younger or even a little bit older. And now granted, I'm talking to business people that are doing that. They are fabulous business people. And in many cases, they do come at it from a different perspective. Yeah. But I love it. It's so much fun. So that's what's cool because you grew up computer in hand.
Yeah.
I didn't touch a computer till I was 18. And then we had dumb terminals and also it was Stone Age. And so to see things and how they have changed has been so cool, and to see how the generations have adapted is what's fun.
Yeah,
but,
I think so.
Let's go back just a smidge, just a little bit back in time. How did you determine that e-commerce is your passion?
Wow, that's a good question. It's kind of a long story, and I guess I'll just start from the roots and kind of how I got into the entrepreneurial side.
Mm-hmm.
Originally I graduated school. Started working in consulting for the Big Four, for Deloitte, then kind of got tired of that, realized I didn't really enjoy it. Really enjoyed real estate, got into working in retail real estate with Sears, and redeveloping their real estate as things weren't going too great.
Oh no, yeah, when they had to be redeveloped. Eek.
Exactly, that's kind of the problem. It's a little too late at that point, but that's kind of when the light went off in my head that traditional retail has a problem and that e-commerce is kind of showing a lot of opportunities. And from there, I started selling my own products on Amazon, and then it eventually evolved into the agency I have today, where I'm helping other agents or other companies and brands sell their products on Amazon and other e-commerce platforms as well.
I love it. Now, you mentioned that you work pretty much exclusively, with Amazon. I think, even though it's been around for a while, many people don't realize that much of Amazon, most of Amazon, are third-party sellers. And that comes up every once in a while. I remember it came up a couple of weeks ago when a third-party vendor was selling a shirt that, shall we say, had some questionable messaging on it. And it was political.
Yeah.
And it was anti-candidate. And people were like, well, no, Amazon should stop that. Well, it's a third-party seller. So when did Amazon really start having third-party vendors?
Oh, it's actually been a while. I mean, when I first, like you said, I grew up with a computer. I'm more used to that space as part of my life. But even when it came to e-commerce shopping, I really didn't even start buying stuff on Amazon until maybe 2011, 2012. Right. That's really when it started to at least become popular for me. And all that time, third-party sellers were selling on the platform. I mean, now I think it was in this past year's Amazon shareholder letter, Jeff Bezos said that 58% of total sales in the Amazon marketplace were by third-party sellers. And that's a huge percentage of sales because they're doing billions in revenue on the platform. Right. And I mean, these sellers, a lot of people think that these are, big companies or, foreign companies, but the reality is many of them are just one person, even two-person operations that are making a lot of money just importing products from another country and selling them on the platform.
Right. And I think that's what's so cool about it is the small business owner who's doing this, but because they can leverage Amazon and, and the shipping and all those various things, and we'll probably go into detail exactly how this works, but that's how they're able to reach not only, the people on their block, but people, depending on what the product they've got, people around the world. And so, it's a great platform for people, and they're not having the nice thing is they don't have to develop the infrastructure because, as I was saying at the very start, people think, wow, it'd be great to sell something online, but oh my gosh, that's so complicated. I mean, just trying to figure out what you would do with shipping and with taxes is enough to, make somebody really freak out. So by becoming a third-party vendor through Amazon, that's taken care of.
Yeah, I agree. And when I think of a retail business and where the most challenging aspects are, it is the logistical side of it, figuring out how am I going to get my product from wherever it's being manufactured to my end customer, and then dealing with the marketing and actually generating the sales. The great thing about using Amazon is you can utilize their FBA platform, Fulfillment by Amazon, and they handle almost all of the logistics for you. So, I mean, you need to get your product still into the country, but after that, you can send it to an Amazon fulfillment center. Right. They will disperse the inventory across the country so it's closer to your customers. They can get quicker delivery times, and then they'll actually handle the last mile delivery to get it to the end customer. And it's not just here in the US, it's, as you said, in other places as well. You can do it in India, you can do it in Europe, you can do it in Canada, Australia. There's a lot of different opportunities and a lot of different platforms where you can have the logistics at least handled for you by Amazon.
Right. Yeah. And I've talked with some Amazon sellers before, and it's very interesting. I mean, I love knowing that, Amazon tells you, hello, you're low on inventory. And it might tell you, hey, we need stuff in Texas, and we need stuff in Montana, and we need stuff in Great Britain, and so it really, because, okay, let's be honest, Amazon wants to make the money. So they want to work with our third-party vendors, but it's obviously most important that the third-party vendor is paying attention. If Amazon says we need stuff in Texas, they better get stuff to Texas.
Yeah. I mean, staying on top of everything, that's a huge part of it. The more units that Amazon can sell, the more that your product's in stock, the better it is for Amazon, but at the same time, the better it is for you. And when it comes to shopping online, I mean, we said there's Amazon, there's everybody else, but if you want to get your product discovered, you need to be in stock and you need to be on Amazon, or else no one will be able to find you.
Yeah. I think that's been probably one of the things that has frustrated people the most during the pandemic is the out of stock items. And, and I mean, things happen. I'm still trying to figure out why everybody thought they needed cases and cases of toilet paper, but that's, and I still can't find disinfecting wipes, but it's like, okay, whatever. And so things like that happen. I mean, that's just, but it is interesting how things like that happen. Clearly we didn't plan on a pandemic, But as the business owner, you need to have a good grasp as, okay, you might have a seasonal item or, things like that, because you don't want people getting frustrated. I mean, the worst thing is when you go and it says not available, out of stock, not available, out of stock. Because then somebody goes and they figure something else out and they don't go back. If you didn't have my toilet paper, I'm not going back to you.
Exactly. Yeah, it's 100% it. I mean, brand loyalty really doesn't mean anything to consumers anymore. If they want a product, you're not there. They don't really care. As long as they can get the product, they'll buy it from someone else.
Right. And the other thing that, of course, the pandemic caused issues with is shipping. For a variety of reasons, and it's one of those things, I'm an Amazon Prime member. I've been an Amazon Prime member for quite a while. My Amazon Prime membership pays for itself really pretty quickly just in the free shipping. But it's like, well, what do you mean I can't get it overnight? Well, I don't care that there's a pandemic. I want my whatever it is overnight. And they're getting back to being able to fulfill things much more quickly. I'm here in Atlanta. They just opened. I'm sure that it's not truly functioning yet. A big new fulfillment center on the other side of Atlanta. And but let's be honest, we got spoiled. We really got spoiled with, I can order it, and in some cases, I could have it within 4 hours, let alone the next day.
Yeah, the delivery times and the convenience that Amazon has in their shipping was incredible. It still is, but now there's definitely a lot more obstacles getting there. And the reality is, I think we're actually going to be headed to another period where it's probably going to get difficult for a lot of businesses again. This will be the first year that Prime Day falls within
There's
Q4.
no Prime Day. I know. I was like, wait a minute. What do you mean there's no Prime Day?
Oh, no, there is.
In July.
In July, yeah. There's going to be Prime Day in October this year, it looks like. And then, I mean, when you think about the schedule, you've got Prime Day.
Oh, and then
we're going Black
holidays.
Friday, Cyber Monday, holiday season. And then January, and then it's Chinese New Year.
Right.
So if you don't have your inventory, there's going to be a lot of companies that are going to really have some inventory issues and manufacturing issues over the next few months. So it does present a lot of opportunities for businesses that are well run, that have the right inventory stock, that aren't in danger of running out of product. But it's going to be an interesting time for a lot of people as well.
Yeah. Well, let's talk e-commerce in general, because I think, especially in this time of pandemic, businesses are switching to e-commerce. We're not sure what's going to happen 6 months down the road, a year down the road, depending on what your business is. You might not ever really have people coming in to your business again. And so, tell us, so what I provide is a service. I provide me. and so it's not like, so I don't know a lot about e-commerce. I have e-commerce on my sites because, there are some things that we sell, but I'm certainly not selling a product. So what are some of kind of the first things that a business should be thinking about if they're going to transition into either all or part of their products in e-commerce?
Yeah. So when you think of e-commerce, there's really two different ways to be selling CPG goods. And one side is obviously building your own website, but building your own website has its own challenges. You need to be able to get traffic to it. You need to either run advertising or you have an existing email list to get people there and purchase the product. The discoverability for new people is also extremely hard because unless you're targeting them with an ad at the right time, showing them your website or your product, it's very unlikely that they're going to find your website organically.
Yeah.
On the other hand, there's the platform side, which is where you have places like Amazon, Walmart, Target, Etsy, eBay, Wish, Zulily, all these other platforms. So these are the platforms that have the people and they have the eyes, but the brands don't matter as much. So in a way, if you're getting into e-commerce for the first time, starting on the platforms is a great way to get those initial sales because you already have people going there and you might not need to hit them with the ad. They might find it organically or, if you are running a promotion or an ad at the right time, maybe they see your product, give it a try. But when it's a lot easier to go where the people already are when you're launching your products online for the first time instead of trying to build your own traffic to your website. It's just more of a challenge.
Yeah. You have to have, if you're going to do it on your own, pretty much that built-in customer base already that you can reach out to. That's the other thing. If you might have had great traffic in your store, doing a lot of business, but if you have no way to reach back out to those people, it's like they didn't exist. So, if you've got that, that's great. Because then you might be able to go on your own platform. You could, email everybody and say, hey, you can now buy online. It's very interesting. I saw something, this squirrel, every once in a while, my brain just goes. So I'm from Colorado, and I saw a post the other day from a business. Now, masks are mandatory in Colorado. And this was a candle shop. And they had posted outside, and it was very, I hate to say woo-woo, but it was kind of a woo-woo, it was a woo-woo candle shop. And the sign said, if wearing a mask in our store goes against our beliefs, if that is what you're going to do, please order online. And so there's lots of different discussions that people had about all of that, but were they prepared to handle, and it was their own website. I mean, they, you went to whatever candle shop and bought stuff. And I mean, that was my first thought after getting over what the heck, you don't want people in there with masks, but they had to be prepared to take those orders online. And I don't think many businesses realize it's a heck of a lot more difficult than just, hey, somebody places an order.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to run more of the omni-channel experience where you're selling online and selling in store, it's really important to have a POS system so you can track inventory levels in real time. Make sure that things you're saying that are available on the website are actually available.
Right.
If you're not
If I want that blueberry scented candle, they'd better have that blueberry scented candle.
Yeah, exactly. It's a huge problem for a lot of companies. It's just coordination between everything. So, I mean, the advantage of being online and just primarily selling online is it's much easier to manage your inventory in a single place.
Yeah, you can turn around and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right?
Exactly.
But you have to have the other pieces. You might have your inventory, you might know it, but do you have the boxes? Do you have, all of those various things that go along with shipping that item? And have you figured out, okay, are we going to do postage? Are we going to do UPS? Are we going to do FedEx? I mean, all of those various things, which, I mean, let's be honest, that's why it is easier to go through somebody like Amazon.
Yeah. And I mean, I even have clients that sell on Amazon that ran out of inventory in their FBA warehouses when the whole pandemic started picking up. And I mean, they were selling directly from their warehouses, but they were shipping thousands of units per day, packaging themselves, everything. Right. And I mean, that takes so much manpower to pull off if you're actually doing that type of sales. I mean, having a warehouse that can do the fulfillment for you saves you so much time and so much hassle.
Oh yeah. And then of course there's say you have items where you're doing thousands. I mean, that takes a storage facility. Yeah. So that takes, you're paying rent there, or you own the building, but there's utilities, there's costs, there's all sorts of things. And some businesses really are equipped to do it, and can do it. And that's great. But for many businesses, it really is the wisest choice to go with someone like an Amazon. And Walmart has third-party vendors too. I mean, that's where we've seen issues with them is, when somebody puts something on there that isn't a product necessarily that they want to sell, and I'm assuming Etsy, eBay, all of those will have issues on occasion too.
Yeah. No, like you said, there are other services if Amazon's not the one you want to use. I mean, Walmart has Walmart fulfillment services. Shopify is starting to build out a fulfillment network. And there's other companies out there like Deliver, Red Stack Fulfillment, among others. There's so many 3PL companies right now that are coming out and being able to provide these services to help people fulfill their e-commerce orders, that it does make sense to kind of outsource that aspect of your business if it's not something that you really want to be handling or that is your strength.
Right. And it's interesting, to me, how Amazon really took off. I mean, you talk about a smart business plan. They obviously started small. Yeah. They started with books. I remember when Amazon only sold books, and the big guys, Barnes and Noble, Borders, some of those went, that's not going to work. And of course it did. It took off. And it is kind of amazing with books because, so many people want to see the book. They want to touch the book. And we have a friend that has still an independent bookstore in Birmingham, Alabama. And we were talking with him, and he was saying, many people have a specific book that they want to buy. They know that's what they want to buy. It's a certain author or whatever. So they can go to Amazon and they can buy it. But he said most of the books that he sells are the people who go in and get the one book that they wanted, and then they browse and they go, ooh. And of course, with a book, you see the cover, you read a little bit, and you're thinking, oh, that sounds good. And that's really hard to do on Amazon. But clearly it works for them. And when Barnes and Noble and the other big guys went, that's not going to work, they misjudged.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, plenty of companies have made mistakes. Like I said, I mean, I came from my experience at Sears, and I mean, Sears was the dominant retail brand, even in the early 2000s. Everyone knew Sears. Everyone was going there to shop. I mean, they bought Kmart. They had two of the largest retail footprints in the US. Right. And they completely misjudged the shift to online. They misjudged the customer, the age of their customer, how they were losing younger customers. And, they were completely unprepared when we actually got to the point where more and more people were shopping online and foot traffic continued to fall within stores. Right.
And I wonder if it's exactly what we were talking about at the start, that, the generations coming up behind us oldsters here are so used to doing everything on a computer that's just where they're going to shop too. And I'm not much of a browser anymore. If I'm going to buy something, I know pretty much what I want. And so I can just as easily buy it online, except groceries and clothes. Those two things I still want to go and see and touch, and even in the pandemic. But yeah, I think the up and coming generations are saying, you know what, we're used to doing everything online. That's just where we're gonna stay.
Yeah, I mean, grocery is a good category, and that's a good one to bring up because the rise of grocery is just increasing year over year. I mean, I believe the projections last year were that grocery sales online were going to reach 100 billion by 2022. And I'm pretty sure because of COVID, that has actually been moved up.
Oh yeah, because it went kaboing.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. And I mean, grocery is a huge opportunity. I mean, I believe, I'm not sure, I believe the total numbers last year for grocery sales were about $615 billion in stores. Right. And as more and more of that starts shifting online, there's going to present more and more opportunities for grocery brands to get in there. I mean, right now, the traditional grocery model is you need to negotiate and get your space on the shelf and deal with all of that. With Amazon or any e-commerce platform, even Walmart, you just skip all of that, just get your product out there. And then it's a matter of doing the marketing yourself and getting it in front of the right people.
Right. And it has been interesting to watch during the pandemic, how the stores have had to adapt to people aren't going to come into the stores, especially grocery stores. And so they've gone with varying shopping cart issues, things like that. And when this first happened, I remember, people would go, oh my gosh, we placed our order and they say it will be to us in 3 days. Well, that's not really going to work. If I want my Fruit Loops, I want my Fruit Loops now. But that was because it was, oh my gosh, we have to do this now. And they clearly had to work bugs out and things like that. I had one friend that placed an order and she said she got all this big delivery and it was not her order. It was, she got all this great food, not her order. So she called the store because she's like, I don't know what to do. She called the store and they said, once it leaves here, it's not ours. It's whatever the delivery platform was. Yeah. And they said, you can call them, but and she said, well, I can't even find a phone number for them, and all those things. And she said, well, but she said, what do I do with all this food that I don't want? And they said, well, it's yours. Do what you want. And they said, and you don't pay for it. And she said, but I want my food. She said, that's the thing. I need my food. Yeah. And so there were glitches like that. Now you don't hear about those nearly as much anymore. And, things like that'll happen. I mean, you order takeout, you get the wrong order on occasion, but yeah, it was interesting to watch. And they ramped up pretty quickly to be able to take orders online and get them delivered.
Yeah. I mean, it's early days for grocery still on e-commerce. There's going to be a learning curve. There's going to be mistakes like this and on the fulfillment side as well. But that's why right now, I think in the immediate future, omni-channel for big retailers like Walmart, like Target are going to be very important because programs like click and collect, or curbside pickups or whatever they're called, place your order online, your running out to get something else, you stop by and pick up your food.
Yep.
It makes it's still that level of convenience without actually having to go into the store. But at the same time, you're able to at least, make sure that you get the product when you need, instead of having to wait 2 to 3 days for something. And that's not a reality right now. But when we think about the future, when it comes to grocery, companies like Target, like Walmart, are positioned very well because of the retail footprints are so close to the major population centers that they can actually handle the last mile delivery really well. It's just going to be a matter of making sure that they can get that delivery reliably within a certain time window, probably in the same day. And I mean, once that happens, I think the shift to online grocery shopping is just going to continue to increase.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, it's cheaper in the long run, because when I go and browse, I'm like, ooh, that looks good. That looks good. That looks good. As opposed to shopping online where I went, here's my list. Yeah. And so when I go and browse, I get my list and extras. But yeah, it's and then of course, the nice thing was we had the pivot from people like Uber and Lyft drivers who went, nobody wants us anymore. But hey, we can deliver food, from restaurants, and we can be delivering things from stores also.
Yeah, I mean, the gig economy has been vital in this entire shift. And I mean, there's a lot of talk about regulations and things that are going on right now, and that's obviously going to have an impact on this specific aspect of it. But I mean, this is just the short-term solution. The longer-term solution is going to be companies developing their own fulfillment capabilities, which is what we've already seen with Amazon, and we're starting to see more with Walmart.
Right. Right. And, and I think probably out of everybody, Walmart is probably the only company that can give Amazon a run for their money. And that's just because they were so big to start with.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I mean, Walmart has a very large selection of products. They have a lot of opportunity to compete with Amazon. They're still behind in a lot of aspects. Primarily, I mean, from our experience in managing different platforms, primarily on the advertising side. Advertising on Walmart is still very difficult. It's hard to get the results you're looking for compared to a platform like Amazon, which has been doing this now for years. And they've developed so many more advanced tools, so many better ways for the companies, the sellers, to actually reach the end customer through different advertising placements. I mean, they're light years ahead, but if Walmart invests that time in the advertising side and makes it more friendly for shoppers and for advertisers to get on there, I mean, I think they can easily compete with Amazon and start stealing more of the market share back in the e-commerce space.
Well, and I think they're behind also because they assumed, and this is pre-COVID, that people still wanted to come into the stores. Yeah. You want to go in the store, you're going to go in the store. Walmart's, there are people that, this is my day to go to Walmart. That's my mother. And then when they had to immediately make a shift, it just took them a little bit longer. But as you were saying, the nice thing is they already had that space, that capability. About the only thing they didn't have were the drivers. Yeah. The people that could do the deliveries, because they had the people in the stores already that could be pulling the things off the shelves and all that. They just didn't have a way that was why it took somebody 3 days to get their groceries.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like I said, it's going to be a learning curve, but I mean, they're well positioned to help that last mile fulfillment and just get you the products you want in a reasonable amount of time. Just going to take more investment and more time, unfortunately.
Right. And it is hard for a small business to, because they're thinking, but I like my brick and mortar. I like seeing customers, and there's nothing wrong with that. But people want to shop in different ways. And of course, the cool thing about e-commerce is now you've opened up the market to the world. Back to the gentleman I was mentioning that owns his bookstore. He has been able to stay open and stay functioning and running very well since the pandemic started, simply based on online orders. Now he has a very niche market. He sells first edition signed books. Okay. So, the stuff they're on, the bestseller list, all those various things signed by the author. And the key is he sells them at retail price. He doesn't mark it up to do, to be able to say, hey, it's been signed by the author. So it's, as far as he knows, and that's all he sells.
Yeah.
As far as he knows, he's the only company anywhere in the world that does that. So, they shut their doors. They say, hey, you can't come to us. And we're like, okay, we go to the website. Oh, we went that one today. But he said it is trickier because people aren't, you're not doing the browsing. Yeah. So they have had to redo their website to kind of have browsing, which is the other thing, if you're going to do this on your own, you have to make those shifts so that people can find products and services.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a learning curve for everyone. Every small business has the problem. And I'm not trying to make it sound like this is doom and gloom in the end of retail for everybody. I mean,
I think it's going to be great. I mean,
I mean, I think the reality is the ones that are going to face the largest issues are larger retailers that don't have like a big competitive advantage. Right. Like, I mean, we've already seen it. We were talking about it earlier. Lord & Taylor.
Yeah, Lord & Taylor went
Sears.
Out last week.
Yeah, Lord & Taylor, Sears, JCPenney, Macy's, all these companies have big issues.
Right.
Because they have stores that are way too big. They have so much inventory to fill them that they can't sell. I mean, small retail stores will probably be fine in small retail stores like mom and pop
because they've got that little niche.
Exactly. And they're within the community. People know them. I mean, they will always have retail traffic and foot traffic. But at the same time, e-commerce amplifies their reach because you can still have your mom and pop little shop. But now, I mean, you can reach people in, Europe and India, wherever you want with the same products and essentially expand your footprint almost unlimitedly.
Right. So. Right. And the big stores that have had issues, we were talking about this before we started, something like Lord & Taylor, all of those, the pandemic accelerated it, but it didn't cause it. They were already having issues with the amount of traffic, all those things. And, let's go back even further, shopping malls. That's just one of those things that more and more, even in say last December before Christmas, you did not go to a mall and see it crowded like you would have 5-10 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, luckily I don't really remember how crowded the malls were on Black Friday, Cyber Monday. I mean, I've been shopping online long enough that I don't remember it, but the reality is that malls are changing a lot. And if you're not in, coming from the real estate side, there's different types of malls. You have your A malls, your B malls, your C malls, and then so on and so forth. I mean, the malls that are really in trouble are the C and B malls. The C malls are probably already closed. And I mean, while I was at Sears, I was doing some deals with companies.
They had the big anchor stores on either end, and then lots of little guys in between, and you walked around.
Oh yeah. And I remember going to some of these malls when I was working for Sears and just seeing how sad they look. But
I know.
A lot of them are being repurposed. A lot of them have been turned. I did one deal where we sold a property to FedEx so they could use it for warehousing. Okay. Amazon has bought malls. So they're repurposing a lot of them. The real malls that are going to be around are the A-type malls, which is where you have your designer brands, the really high-end stuff. And they're probably going to still be okay because the type of people that are shopping for those products really want to be seen shopping for them as well. So it's kind of like a mentality. It's not the same feeling for them if they're buying a Louis Vuitton bag on the Louis Vuitton website as it is going.
They definitely have to touch it and smell it and all those things. The repurposing has been interesting. Some of the things that I've seen they've even been repurposing them as homeless shelters. And because I mean it's a building, it's got plumbing, and so they're able to partition areas off, and it's it's not permanent. I mean, you're not moving in there for very long, but you're able to get in for a while, and and I thought that was very interesting. That was a great way to repurpose some of these.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different new purposes coming around. I mean, I worked on a few malls, one in Portland, one in Arizona, and some other locations where they're completely repurposing them for different uses. So for example, the one in Portland, we were building apartment buildings, office space, medical space. So essentially you could have your entire life within the mall. And I mean, it's probably strange to think of it now, but in the future, when we're thinking of convenience, maybe this makes more sense.
Yeah, it's going back almost to the concept of, say, a New York neighborhood where you had everything within just a couple blocks. People lived on the upper stories of the buildings, and then down below you had in the mid-range the buildings, you had the attorneys, the doctors, people like that, and then the bottom levels are the little mom and pop stores, the grocery stores, the little clothing stores, things like that. And I mean, clearly that's worked for many, many years. And I think people, and they, you add in the fact that they then did not have cars.
Yeah.
And I think, one of the things that is obviously going to really be affected for a while is going to be mass transit.
Yeah.
We're not, we might drive in our car somewhere, but that's, no subways, no buses, no trains, and no planes, for quite a while. And, so we want everything in one place.
Yeah, I think this is kind of an interesting point. This is where we in the US and even probably in Canada, we're probably a little bit different than cultures in Europe, for example, where Europe, everything's a lot more walkable,
right.
or they're riding bikes and they have all their local stores and they can buy everything there. E-commerce adoption in those places in Europe, for example, hasn't been as popular as it has been in the US and in Canada. Just mainly because of convenience. But yeah, I mean, you're right. As things are being built for more convenience with shops closer, we probably will continue to see retail foot traffic in places like that, where you can walk outside and your grocery stores across the street, or there's a fruit stand, or like basic.
And you went every day. That was the other thing. But yeah, it's interesting because I grew up in the mountains of Colorado. Very, very rural area. We had some stores in town, but they were very small stores. And so once a month, we would drive to another state. We drove to Wyoming, to Laramie, Wyoming, and did your grocery shopping. And you bought your staples and things like that for a month. And that was just kind of what you did. And obviously the internet didn't exist when I was little. Let's just be honest about this. And so, we did that, but it was an excursion. You spent all day Saturday or all day Sunday, you went out to Laramie, or you went to, Steamboat or Fort Collins or something like that. And it was just what you did. It's funny. I saw somebody on Facebook the other day posting, "Hey, I need from this little town. I need a prescription picked up in Steamboat Springs, which is 65 miles away. Anybody going over there?" And my first thought was, they can't mail it. That really did just was like, wow, that one didn't. So I don't know quite, if they needed it faster than mail could get it there or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I grew up where we had to travel. And so e-commerce would have been great. It would have been so wonderful to not have to do all of that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a different experience than anything I've ever had growing up in the Northeast. I mean, I grew up with everything right there in my footsteps. Right. But yeah, I mean, it's awesome now that with e-commerce, no matter how remote you are, it's still easy to get everything you want shipped to you pretty quickly. I mean, obviously, the closer you are to a major population center, the faster the delivery time is going to be. But as Amazon continues to open up their fulfillment network, like the new place you talked about in Atlanta, I believe last week, I think I read that Amazon opened 17 new fulfillment centers across the entire country. Yeah. The more and more fulfillment centers they open up, the faster delivery is going to get for everyone, and the more convenient it's going to be for anyone, anywhere to get their products.
Right. Yeah. And there will still be remote places. I mean, it doesn't make sense to have, a 1 million square foot warehouse in Montana, or Wyoming, but you just don't plan on it coming right away. But I tell you what, I want to order something that's under 5 pounds to see if I can get the drone. I'm guessing Atlanta will be one of the places where they approve drones pretty quickly. But I talked with somebody, I guess it was last year in Australia, who was one of the first Amazon people down there. And he said, we can get stuff in the Outback now. And you didn't used to be able to do that. Now, of course, the trick is, do they have internet? That's the other little hitch that goes on with that. But, for that, I also see, okay, Amazon's going to start putting in towers or partnering with somebody who provides that. And we're going to have that no matter what, because of the pandemic. I mean, that's been the other thing, that one of the big issues with homeschooling is children don't have reliable access to the internet. So you can have all the best laid plans in the world for doing online schooling, but if the kid has no access to internet, there's an issue.
Yeah, I mean, there's interesting product adoption in the e-commerce space everywhere. I mean, it varies so much from country to country. Like, mobile shopping in the US is getting more and more popular, but I mean, I live in Latin America. in Latin America, mobile shopping is almost all the shopping that's done online. And it's the same with Southeastern Asia. Like those generations that are shopping online are growing up with phones and doing all their purchasing from there. And it's a lot easier for them to get access to the internet. So, you know, where we might be used to buying things more with computers in the US, I mean, literally everywhere you go in the world is different. Like I said, Europe, they're more used to walking to their stores and getting things. So like the entire concept of e-commerce is different, and it's difficult to adapt to that between different marketplaces. So that's why it's kind of, you need to figure out, you know, where your priorities are when you're getting into e-commerce and where you want to focus your attention, what marketplaces, and then creating the strategy to make it the most convenient for that marketplace.
Right. Yeah, because let's be honest, it's not for everybody, you know, and so that would be the first thing that somebody really needs to think about. So let's delve into this even, you know, let's go into this in detail, and we're just going to talk Amazon. That's who you work with, you know, and if you work with Amazon, then it could probably transition to a lot of the other guys too. So that's all right. So you know, what type of businesses are best suited to become a third-party seller on Amazon?
Well, I mean, the reality is any business can do it. It's not that hard. And Amazon has taken a lot of the challenges with the logistical side and made it a lot easier for these businesses. But with that being said, companies need to be more nimble. There's too many companies, and Lord & Taylor was a good example of it. They had these problems coming for years. Same with Sears. Companies that are too slow to adapt and make these changes, or that have too many levels of bureaucracy and decision makers, they're going to have less success on the platform, because the reality is all these sellers that are doing third party, they're nimble. They're, you know, like I said, 1 or 2 person businesses, they're small. That doesn't mean you can't be successful as a big business. It's just that you need to be willing to move quickly and make mistakes to be able to take advantage of the platform.
Right. You know, and if you're thinking about going on Amazon, I mean, one of the things, and this just always amazes me. So I just opened this. So at the very bottom of every Amazon page is the list of the companies that they own. And I'm always astounded at some of the companies. I'm like, really? Amazon owns Zappos. Yeah. That one always surprises me. Some of these I've never heard of. Shopbop. Okay. Don't know what that is. IMDb. That one kind of surprised me. I mean, you know, clearly that's an online video streaming service. I knew that they obviously had bought Whole Foods. I'm guessing they're probably going to delve even more into, you know, whether it's the organic market or just, you know, regular markets. That's going to be something. Ring. In fact, my doorbell rang earlier today, and it was like, oh, look, there's Amazon. But yeah, so for people thinking, well, Amazon doesn't sell what I sell, I'm guessing they probably do, you know, and so that's the other thing. So look on that list and just see, you know, does your product fit there, or a product that you're interested in? Yeah.
And I mean, pretty much every category is available on the platform. Even service providers can be on the platform. You can also even sell non-physical goods. So, I mean, for example, insurance agents can be selling on the platform. And you can also advertise.
I had no idea.
Yeah. They have what's called the DSP, the demand side platform, which is where anyone can run ads, whether they're, you know, selling a physical good or a non-tangible good, and utilize Amazon's demographics and targeting capabilities to find customers that they want to target. So, I mean, literally any product can be on Amazon. It's just a matter of whether you're actually physically selling a good through the platform, or whether you're just primarily doing advertising for your website or your product or whatever it is. Right. And those networks that you talked about, like the movie one, IMDb. I always get the letters confused.
I know. I was like, and I'm sure it stands for something that I don't know, but
I have no idea. But platforms like that, Goodreads is another one. You'll be shopping through those, and you'll see Amazon ads like on the sides, on the tops, everywhere.
But it's just like if you're watching TV, reading a magazine, you've got ads on Facebook. I mean, you know, all these ads pop up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, these are all ads that sellers have access to run when they're selling on the platform. So there's lots of different ways to reach your customers, whether you're selling products on Amazon or not. It just is the matter of figuring out what the best solution is for you.
Okay. So say you're a service provider. You know, do you set up an account with Amazon? How would you go about that?
Yeah, there is a special platform for service providers. So on the Seller Central side, or on the third-party side, if you're selling a physical good, it's primarily through Seller Central. I honestly don't remember the name of the platform for the service providers.
It's there somewhere.
Yeah, but it's there. You can get listed on the platform. And then if you want to run advertising, because you don't have a product, you need to use the demand side platforms of DSP. And DSP has ad buy minimum, so you have to invest a certain amount of money. But again, there's still opportunities for you to advertise on there if you are a service provider.
Right. And it's interesting. I'm scrolling through the homepage, and I just open up Amazon, and it's asking me if I'm an an Arkansas Razorback fan. Oh, no. And it's like, well, somehow some bots messed up, because that would definitely not be. But yeah, it's making suggestions, and clearly, or I'm assuming I should say, the suggestions have been paid for. Companies are paying to be a suggested item. Is that true? Or is it a big selling item, or is it just kind of a combination of a bunch of things?
It is a combination of a bunch of things. And this is one of the things that Amazon's really come under fire for with a lot of their antitrust stories, is how are these suggested products actually featuring within the platform? And a lot of brands, customers might be aware that Amazon has its own private labels. I mean, Amazon Basics is pretty well known, but they also have, last time I saw it was 125 different other private brands that they sell on the platform that probably aren't as well known. And a lot of the confusion comes because a lot of those products end up showing up as the suggested product, which kind of creates an issue.
Yeah, it's like, okay, did you just bump your other guys to give your own priority?
Exactly. And that's where a lot of the debate is, and where on the antitrust side, where people are worried about it. But the reality is anyone can get more visibility through the platform and get the bestseller badge or the Amazon's Choice badge just by doing certain things within the platform. So for example, in our experience, if you want to get the Amazon's Choice badge, you need to figure out what the keyword you want to get it for is. So let's say if you want to get it for, I don't know, tennis shoes, you need to start spending a certain amount of advertising dollars on the keyword tennis shoes. Customers need to start buying your product on the word tennis shoes. And the more sales you get, the higher likelihood you have of getting the Amazon's Choice. Amazon's Choice also comes into play when you're doing voice ordering through Alexa and Echo and all those things.
Oh, okay.
So when you're saying, Alexa, I need tennis shoes, if your product is showing up as tennis shoes, there's a good chance that
it's basic SEO almost.
Yeah, it's voice SEO now. So at this point, your product is going to be the one purchased because you have the Amazon's Choice for tennis shoes or whatever the keyword is. Yeah.
So you have to figure out, I mean, it really is, it's just like doing SEO in Google. You have to figure out what those keywords are. I mean, tennis shoes, sneaker. Oh, I can't think of anything else now. But all those various words that somebody might use to describe your product.
Yeah. I mean, that's, in reality, that's probably about 60% of the work we're doing is just doing the keyword research. And we do it through utilizing third-party software to figure out what other people are advertising on or what other people are indexed within the platform for. And then we're also running advertising campaigns, seeing which keywords we think are going to do well and finding out what keywords other customers are searching for that are coming to our products. So keyword research is a huge part of selling on Amazon and the way that you're going to maximize the reach that you're going to be able to get through the platform.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we certainly, when we're typing it, are using keywords.
Yeah.
We're saying, blue tennis shoe lace, and so the more descriptive, but what it is annoying when it brings up things. I'm like, no, that's not anywhere related to my product. And so I wonder how that works, but, cause Google's got it, they know people game the system and, and they're going to put in there like their competitors and all sorts of things. And it used to be when you programmed a website, and you don't do this as much anymore, is you had keywords and you could put in certain things, and people did, they put in their competitors, they put in misspellings, which, I mean, that's a good thing to do. But, all these various things, and Google went, no, that's cheating. You can't put in your biggest competitor name. So say you're Kmart, putting Walmart in as your keywords, that's not acceptable.
Yeah.
And I think maybe in Amazon, especially since I'm seeing stuff that's like, I'm sorry, that's not what I typed in. Why did that come up? Maybe that's where some of that still needs to be fine-tuned.
Yeah, I mean, some of it, Amazon's making updates constantly. So one of the things that they are very against right now is, like you said, including competitor names within the keywords. That's something you don't want to do.
Right.
But at the
It's
same
tricky,
time,
especially if somebody refers to that, like Kleenex would be
Kleenex,
one of the hardest things. I mean,
Q-tips,
are you
that's another one.
Kleenex or are you a tissue?
Yeah. Those are very, very difficult products to compete with. So if you have a product that is like the known one, Kleenex is a perfect one. Q-tips is another one.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah. In certain parts of the country, everyone calls every soda
Any
Coke.
soda is Coke.
Yeah. So it's interesting because it's regional. I mean, tennis shoes can mean a lot of different things in different places. So I mean, it's one of the things is figuring out the keywords you're going to rank for. A lot of times, if there aren't a lot of results for the keyword you're searching for, it just could be because the way you searched it isn't the right way, or the way that Amazon indexed the keywords on other products is wrong, or there's just not a big enough selection of products for that specific search term.
Right.
So.
Yeah, because let's be honest, they don't sell everything. I mean, there are some products that aren't out there, or you've gotten too fine-tuned.
Yeah.
Because it might not be light blue speckled. It might be light blue stripe, or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Little changes in the phrase can really make the difference on everything. And the way that and that example of Coke is a perfect example, is that me being from the Northeast, I don't call every soda Coke. I call every soda by its name.
It's Pepsi, it's Dr. Pepper. It's
exactly. But if I'm approaching that from my Northeast mentality, then I'm not understanding that I'm going to be spending a lot of money on the keyword Coke because everyone selling soda is going to be, using the keyword Coke. So it's interesting.
And then you got that little word in there called pop. I'm from Colorado. We called it pop. When people called, they wanted soda. I'm like, soda? That's like, you want baking soda? I'm very confused.
It's so interesting, the differences between words that we use all over the country. But this is very difficult when you get into advertising and figuring out exactly what the keywords are. Using regional keywords is a part of your advertising strategy, depending on what the product is.
Right. Well, and then you toss in countries, where they're going to call something totally different. I mean, I'm scrolling through here and it's selling wellies. Now I happen to know what a wellie is. It's a rain boot, but that's what they call them in England. But for some reason, wellie I just like the word, so I call it a wellie. But yeah, it's a rubber rain boot. That's a wellie. And so again, if you're going to be selling things, and even if you're not selling them to those countries, people from those countries might be living here and looking for them. So, so that's complicated. So Mike, I'm guessing the big thing is, now what we did was we just freaked everybody out. They went, oh my God, I can't do this. And so that's where a company like yours comes in. Yeah. So tell us, just keywords. All these various things. And you're saying, okay, we have to advertise, we have to do this, we have to do that. Tell us what your company does and how you can work with people.
Sure. So what we do is we partner with brands and manufacturers that want to sell on the platform. I mean, Amazon is the greatest brand awareness tool there is in e-commerce right now. If you're trying to find new customers, it's the perfect place to be. And what we do is we manage the entire process for you. So we do everything from the initial keyword research to creating the sales copy, SEO, doing the graphic design and the imagery. We literally handle the entire process for everyone so that they don't have to worry about this. And,
so I'd send you my cup and you would sell my cup.
Exactly. Whatever product you send me, we will sell. Obviously we have more success with certain categories than others. I mean, we primarily focus on the apparel, pet supplies, food, among other categories, health supplements, things like that. Those are the categories we typically sell in. But I mean, really, the fundamentals of Amazon can be applied to any category within that space. And we're glad to have a conversation with any company that's interested in learning more about their Amazon opportunities and just testing out the platform and seeing if they can start turning it into a viable sales channel for their business.
Right. And of course, one of the biggest things that people say is, well, Amazon is going to take a cut. Well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
they have to be making money off this too. So, that's part of it, is figuring in the pricing.
Yep.
But then, but again, they're covering the shipping, they're covering the marketing, all of those various things. So it's just, part of the cost of doing business so you include that when you're figuring out what your pricing of your product should be.
This is exactly why I refer to Amazon as the greatest brand awareness tool that there is out there, because you're right. Amazon is taking their cut. Your margins may be lower than they would be through selling on your own platform, but the trade-off you're getting is the reach that you're going to have to new customers is expanded greatly. So in a way, the strategy you need to figure out is, how can I build my brand awareness on Amazon? And then how can I take these customers and eventually get them to my website to purchase from me in the future? Because that's where the real value is, and being able to build out an email list or a retargeting pixel so you can advertise and be more efficient with your advertising spend. But Amazon, from the standpoint of being a profitable sales channel, may not be perfect for every category, depending on how competitive the prices are. But at the same time, on the brand awareness perspective, it can be huge for actually growing your brand over time.
Right. And just like any of those things, you still want to have all that data, as much data as you can get. I know people, and I cringe anytime somebody tells me this. I don't have a website. I just have a Facebook business page. And, and I try not to go, and smack them upside the head, but I tell them, you need to understand that could change in a flash.
Yeah.
Facebook could say, sorry, we're not going to give you access to your page, or it's going to cost you $10,000, or, all of those various things. So it's exactly as you said, you need to somehow get the data that you want. Now, I mean, you might be perfectly happy with having a website on Facebook, and if it goes away, well, it goes away. Yeah. But, if you've got, and I know there are many people who are 100% through Amazon, and that's great. And Amazon is obviously structured different than Facebook, but you still have to recognize you're going through somebody else.
Yeah. It's a huge risk to a lot of businesses. A lot of businesses are over relying on the Amazon platform instead of building out these other sales channels as well. I mean, like I said, Amazon is great for brand awareness, getting your name out there. But if you solely rely on Amazon, I mean, there are some horror stories I can tell you of companies that have had 100% of their business on Amazon, and then their Amazon account gets shut down because they used a competitor keyword or something, or
I'm sure the terms of service for being a third-party vendor are really pretty detailed, and so pay attention to those folks, and don't think, I can slip my competitor's name in there. They figure these out.
Yeah, it's pretty easy for them. They have the technology to do it. So, I mean, doing everything by the book, the way that Amazon says, is the best way to be successful, but also not putting all your eggs in one basket, in the Amazon basket particularly, is extremely important while you're in e-commerce.
Right. So do you see, we've only got a couple minutes left. Do you see that there's any real competitors to Amazon?
I mean, I think you kind of said it well before, that Walmart has the opportunity to be a really big competitor with Amazon. They obviously have a lot more investment they need to make. But when we talk about the retail footprint, the ability to actually get the product to the end consumer, Walmart is positioned really well to be there. The challenge for them is going to be, how do they attract the customers? Like for Amazon Prime, Prime Video, Prime Music, those are huge magnets to bring customers in, because there are additional benefits, and they're actually loss leaders for Amazon.
Right.
So while even the retail side doesn't make much money, the advertising business is where Amazon makes their money. So, they have all these other businesses or other product lines that are used to attract customers to the platform. And that's something Walmart doesn't really have. I mean, they just rolled out Walmart Plus, which is essentially designed to compete with Amazon Prime. But the other features that Walmart Plus has, or doesn't have, I should say, is going to make it more of a challenge to get the same customer loyalty base that Amazon.
When I got Amazon Prime for the shipping. I mean, that was it. It was like, okay, I'll spend my $79 a year, whatever it was, because it paid for itself really pretty quickly to get free shipping. Then when they added the video components, I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, hello, Mrs. Maisel. And we watched The Boys last night, and some, I mean, we watch Amazon Prime virtually every day, so there's no way that they make money off of us on that. But you're right. It's the other things that are in there. And it'll be interesting to see if anybody, and, like one of the things that they were saying is that, aren't they saying Walmart is wanting to buy TikTok? Isn't that?
Yeah. That is that is one of the discussions going on. And this is exactly what these platforms need to do to actually be able to compete with the Amazon Prime place. So like, maybe Walmart isn't able to create their content like Amazon Prime is, but maybe they can create a partnership with Hulu or Roku or Netflix or someone else to bring it in as part of their membership fee. Right. And then attract customers in that way. And I mean, it just opens up the opportunity.
I'd see Walmart and Disney as the perfect match.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many good opportunities out there, and like, it's just gonna be interesting to see how Walmart evolves and how their membership program grows to compete with Amazon Prime. I mean, that's the real threat when it comes to Amazon, to the e-commerce space, on who's going to compete with Amazon. Right. And the way they execute is really going to determine how it goes.
And back to what we were saying at the start, people are now getting used to shopping online. And that's just the way that once you start it, you realize, oh, this is pretty easy. I can do this in like everything. I can do this in my jammies. I don't have to leave home. The other day I figured out I've gassed up my car 3 times since March. So that gives me money to spend somewhere else. But my husband doesn't quite see it that way. But yeah, I mean, it's just e-commerce is here to stay. I mean, that is a thing. And so and I love that you talked about that services can be on Amazon, because I had no idea, and so some things like that. So I think it's definitely worth checking out. So if somebody wants to contact you and reach out to you, how do they do that?
Yeah. So the best way to get in touch with us would be to reach out to our website, amzadvisors.com. You can also email me directly. My email is mike@amzadvisors.com. I'm always glad to try to help anyone we can, either with the Amazon side, or just try to find the best solution for them in the e-commerce space. I mean, we have a variety of different products that we sell. In addition to consulting services, we do content services, educational courses for the Amazon platform. So there's a lot of good opportunities for people that are looking to learn more about e-commerce and get into the space, but aren't really sure exactly what to do yet.
Great. I love it. Well, Mike, we'll have to chat again in, 6 months to a year, because hopefully the pandemic will have settled down by then. Something will have happened one way or the other. And so it'll be great to kind of see, okay, now what has happened, and how have people shifted and things like that. And like I said, the drones should be more popular by then. That'll be fun. I can't wait for drones. That'll be fun. But then I love like seeing, the bald eagle attacking the drone and wherever that was. But yeah, so this will be great. So we will definitely have to chat again. But until then, do you have any final thoughts for everyone?
No, I really don't. I mean, obviously, the one thing I will say is that we're coming up to Q4 now. September, Q4 is right around the corner. If you're going to get into e-commerce, Prime Day is hitting in October, and then we got Black Friday, Cyber Monday. It's going to be the biggest Q4 probably ever online in general.
And so keep that in mind. I mean, if you can't, as we were saying, if you can't fulfill, wait till January, folks.
Oh, yeah, exactly. There's going to be lots of opportunities for a lot of businesses, whether it's now, whether it's in the new year. Just be ready and start taking these steps to really get yourself online and start growing your business there.
Cool. I love it. Well, I'm Deb Creer. I've been having a great discussion with Mike Begg from AMZ Advisors. And until next time, everyone have a great day.
Tune in for our next program for even more trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. The Business Power Hour, hosted by Deb Creer, is proud to be part of the C-Suite Network.